your state and the things that you give energy and attention to are in some way, shape, or form going to express themselves in your life experience. The things that you are giving your energy and attention to are in some capacity going to show up more frequently in your life. There are two ways to look at this. Either focusing your energy and attention on the good, on things that you are grateful for, on things that you want more of in your life, or you can look at it the other way and focus more on negative things, focus more on things that limit you. And I think a lot of us do both naturally as just human beings. We're not perfect, but subconsciously we may lean more one side than the other. Most people probably think more negatively than positively. And because of that, their life is just going to reflect their state in some capacity. It may not be exactly the most perfect reflection, but the way that you feel, your state of being, the kind of energy that you are embodying, it's going to be affected by the things that are going on internally. Just briefly before we get into this recording, I just want to say, if you have any comments or any questions or anything, DM me on Instagram at Presence of Being. I'm more than happy to have a conversation or chat, or if you have any comments or questions, whatever, I'm always happy to have a conversation. I also want to thank everybody who purchased a hat, a Presence of Being hat or a Practice Presence hat. The feedback I've been getting is amazing. The community that we're building here at Presence of Being is growing. We're almost at 1,000 Spotify and Apple podcast followers. So I'm just very grateful. Thank you so much for being a part of our community. And in today's recording, I want to talk about overcoming external conditions and transcending those conditions. So if you operate from a positive state of being, meaning you consume content that motivates you, uplifts you, you have good habits like journaling, gratitude journaling, for example. You focus on what is good. You focus on the things that you have rather than the things that you don't have. You meditate. You're present. You operate from a present state of being. So you're focused. You aren't reactive. You respond to situations that present themselves. You aren't anxious about the future, and you aren't regretful about the past. You exercise. You eat healthy. All these things incorporate into operating from a healthy and positive state of being. You are going to be fed outputs in your environment, in your outer world, that respond to who you are. And you don't have to take my word for this. Go out and test this in your own life. You will notice that who you are being is going to reflect itself in your reality in some capacity. Like I said, it may not be the most perfect reflection. It may not be your input equals the exact same output, but in some capacity, you are going to get whatever you are doing within outside of you. Whoever you are being, you are going to get outside of you. And I'm going to explain this. But again, you don't need to take my word for it. Test it out in your own life. This is something that I've practiced in my life, and it has benefited me tremendously, and that's why I'm just sharing it. But test this out in your own life. Be your own experimenter in your own world, and you'll notice this, I'm sure, in your life as well. But let's say you are operating from a positive state of being, and you do all the things that I just listed before. You're going to notice more good in your life, period. And it's just the way that you see the world, the lens through which you see the world. That is what is going to be reflected back to you. So if you do all the things I mentioned, you are going to be more of a vessel for intuition because you're operating from a healthy, positive state of being. If you're closed off and negative and operating from a negative state of being, you're not going to be open to intuition. You really think that you're going to be able to receive insight, downloads, and intuition when you're closed off and negative? Of course you aren't going to be able to. And for another example, if somebody comes up to you on the street and recommends this self-development book, you're not going to be open to reading that self-development book that may help you if you are operating from a lower level of energy and you're closed off. Of course not. But if you operate from a positive state of being, you may be open to reading that self-development book, which will help you in an abundance of ways later down the line. That's why I say, and I've said this many times, but if you're like open to this kind of content, like if you're listening to this podcast, like you have a good self-concept, or it's better than you think. Like if you're interested in growth and you care about this kind of stuff, you're listening to this kind of stuff, that's a good sign. Like you would not be attracted to consume this kind of information if it wasn't meant for you, and if you weren't, like if it wasn't for you, if that makes sense. It's those little things. You open yourself up and are more aware of opportunities and good things that are happening in your environment when you operate from a positive state of being. When you elevate your energy and you do some of the things I mentioned, watch how you just naturally feel more grateful as you go about the day. It may not be you only experience gratitude when you're doing your 5-minute gratitude journal in the morning. Once you start practicing it and you do it consistently, watch how grateful you are just for living. And that'll be consistent throughout your entire day. And it comes with practice, but the same thing goes for meditating. You won't only feel present when you're in your 10-minute meditation in the morning. Once you do it consistently, you are going to feel more present and alert throughout the course of your entire day, which is only going to continue to elevate your state of being. And the things that you experience externally are going to reflect that state. It just compounds. So this is what I'm saying. You do these good habits, which compound over time. And because of the compounding, you experience more of the benefits even when you aren't engaged in the practice. Even when you aren't in the middle of your gratitude practice, you're going to be more grateful as you go about the day, which is basically your positive state reflecting in the external. When you meditate, for example, you aren't only going to be present in that meditation, but if you do it consistently, you are going to be more present and experience all the benefits that come with meditating as you go about the day. And that is your positive state manifesting in the outer world. When you're closed off and you operate from a negative state of being, it will be reflected back to you in your world. And the same thing is true with positive, like I just said. But if you operate from a negative state of being, don't be surprised if you see more negative things on your social media feed, for example. Like that's how sometimes it manifests. If you're closed off, you operate from a negative state of being, and you don't do things that elevate your level of energy, watch how you think more negatively throughout the day. And then that compounds and you start feeling worse. And then you are more regretful and you're more anxious about things that may happen in the future. These are how those things compound. It's you being reflected outside of you. So the purpose of this recording is to realize that if things are not going the way that you want externally, instead of always seeking answers outside of you and trying hard to manipulate things that are going on outside of you to improve those situations, of course you can take action to improve that situation externally, and that is important as well, and we'll talk about that, but look within yourself. Are you engaging in activities and doing things that elevate your state of being to improve your self-concept and make you feel good? Or are you constantly living in fear? Are you constantly surrounding yourselves in environments that don't benefit you at all? Take inventory and just be honest with yourself. If you are doing everything in your power to operate from a positive state of being and just you're being the best version of yourself you can, you're engaging in activities that are going to uplift you and just make you a better version of you, and things that are going on externally aren't yet reflecting that inner world, that inner state, trust that it will. And trust that sometimes things need to fall apart and be messy in order for new, exciting, and beneficial things to come and replace it. And I think naturally, once you start operating from that positive, healthier state of being, you improve your self-concept. You know that you're worthy of great things. You know that by engaging in this activity and doing this and practicing this, like meditation, journaling, doing activities that you're passionate about, all of these things are going to elevate your mindset anyways. You are going to automatically think more positively and know that it doesn't really matter what's going on outside of me. I know that better is coming. You're going to automatically think that way once you do all those positive practices like I just listed: journaling, meditation, eating healthier, exercising, living authentically, speaking your truth, living on purpose, reading. Like, all of these things are going to automatically help you and shift your identity so you can become someone who automatically thinks positively. It's impossible to think negatively all the time so consistently and be closed off to your intuition and great things once you take a step forward to becoming the best version of yourself. Like, it's impossible. You aren't going to think negatively anymore once you really take inventory in who you are being and you shift yourself for the better. You aren't going to want to surround yourself with people or follow people that bring you down. It's just, you're not going to do it. You aren't interested in it anymore. You're only going to want to engage in activities and engage with people and surround yourselves in environments that bring you down if you resonate with that level of energy. If you no longer resonate with a certain level of energy and you've elevated that level of energy, you've elevated your own energy, you've taken inventory of yourself and you've improved your inner world, you are just vibrating at a different level of energy, and everything that is attracted or in harmony with that level of energy is going to be brought to you. You're going to be presented with it naturally because it's who you are being. That's why who you are being is so important, because you're only going to draw in what is in harmony with who you are being. Whatever resonates is going to be brought in. Who you are being, you're just going to do naturally because it's who you are. And I want to emphasize this because I know it's important, and I've said it in this recording, I'll say it again. Nobody's perfect. Like, sometimes we slip up. Obviously, not everyone is going to think positively all the time. People have bad days, people have good days, and then people have more bad days and then more good days. And it's ebbs and flows and it's ups and downs. It's just about catching that flow and trying to be as consistent as you can and helping yourself, taking inventory, being honest with yourself, doing everything you can to just elevate who you are being in the most authentic way to you, helping yourself, elevating your level of energy, doing things that are healthy and good for you are just going to help. In the long run, it's going to help. And that's why I'm talking about it. So the first step is taking inventory and looking within yourself, essentially. Who are you being? What kind of habits do you have? And are you doing everything in your power to improve yourself within? The easiest ways you can start implementing certain positive habits into your life is by doing these 5 things. And again, this is my list. This is personal to me, so I'm just sharing it. Hopefully, somebody can take inspiration from it or implement one of these things or 2 of these things into their routine, and it may help them. But I'm just sharing about what I personally do, what I try doing. Again, I'm not perfect with it, but this is what I at least see as being most beneficial to me. So if it helps, that's my goal. But also, and again, I'll mention this a million times, you have to find the process that works best for you. That's why self-development is so great, because it's self-development. It's personalized. Figure out what works for you and then stick with it. What works for me may not work for you. I think the things I'm about to say may work for everybody, but if it doesn't, then find what works for you. Journaling consistently, being grateful and listing out a few things that you're grateful for every single day, meditating consistently, and again, if you want to journal for a sentence, journal for a sentence. If you want to journal for 500 words or 1,000 pages, do you. If you want to gratitude journal 5 things, do you. If you want to gratitude journal 10 things, do you. If you want to meditate for 5 minutes, do you. If you want to meditate for an hour and a half, do you. This is a personal practice. Self-development is personal, so take it personally and do what feels good within you. Do what resonates with you. So journal, gratitude, meditate, be kinder to yourself and other people. And also, the 5th thing that I would recommend to help shift yourself into a positive state of being is asking yourself what it is you actually want out of life and developing that purpose and clarity. Those would be the 5 things that I would recommend to help elevate you to a greater state of being, a positive state of being, so you can start operating from the level of energy that you know is going to attract good things into your life. And like I said, good things may manifest itself in many different forms. It can come in the form of opportunity. It can come in the form of being more aware of the abundance that exists all around us. It can come in the form of compliments from people who you've never spoken to before. It could come in the form of good thoughts. It could come in the form of good luck. These are all ways in which elevating your level of energy is going to draw good things to you. I think a lot of people get discouraged because they have an intention, they have something that they want to experience, but if it's not exactly that, in the exact time they want it, then they get discouraged and frustrated. And then they go back down into a negative cycle. Like, if you want something, you got clear about what it is you want, and you know it's going to make you feel good, and you know it's something positive, and I know that's different for everybody, but if good is happening in your life that comes in the form of good thoughts, if it comes in the form of somebody complimenting you, if it comes in the form of X, Y, or Z, that doesn't necessarily have something to do with what it is you want, but it's in some way, shape, or form in alignment with the things that you want, celebrate it. Be grateful for it. It's happening. It's expressing. It's starting to express. So implementing those 5 things, journaling, gratitude, presence, being kinder to yourself and other people, and developing purpose in terms of like actually knowing what it is that you want out of life. Those are 5 things I would recommend to help elevate your level of energy so you could become more aware of the good that's already in your life right now and draw more good to you. Ignoring the 3D or embracing the 3D is an interesting topic to talk about because, like I said, once you start working on yourself to such a great degree, even if you experience obstacles in your 3D, which is normal, of course, like we're human, nobody's perfect, like I said, life is going to happen regardless of the way that you feel, and unpredictable things or obstacles are going to happen in life. Like, that happens. Shit happens. The way that you approach that situation and the way that you perceive that situation is going to impact how you carry yourself within that situation. If you operate from a higher level of energy by implementing all the things that I just mentioned, you are going to be able to approach that situation in a much different way than if you were closed off, operated from negative energy, was like, woe is me, and didn't give a shit about any of this. Eckhart Tolle talks about acceptance, enjoyment, and enthusiasm, and I have a whole podcast talking about that. Even if shit is going on in your external, you can accept it. You can at least accept that situation. And that feeling of acceptance that you get from unwanted circumstances is really only going to be available to you if you're operating from a positive state of being. If you're doing all the things that we're talking about, those positive habits, you're going to be able to accept that situation. People who are negative and bitter and don't care about improving themselves and are closed off, they're not going to be able to accept the situation very easily. They're going to get hung up on that situation, which is going to create this negative cycle. And then more bad things are going to happen. Good isn't going to happen when you're operating from a negative state of being. So taking inventory and action within and checking yourself first is the most important thing. But like I said, shit's going to happen in your external. Like, the world is going to happen. Things are going to go up and down. And it's not our job to know the reason why things are going on. If you have a vision for who it is you want to be and where it is you want to go, trust that you are going to get there. The journey to getting there and learning to embrace the ups and downs that come with getting to that journey and the lessons that we're going to be able to learn from being on that journey, like, it's unpredictable, but you just got to trust. You just have to trust. Things may be going on that we don't like, but we have to believe in that bigger picture, the vision that we have for ourselves. That is the most important thing. If you just trust in yourself, if you trust in your vision and you trust where you're going, you are going to be able to move beyond the things that are going on in your outer world. Trust in God, trust in the universe, trust that things are unfolding the way that it needs to unfold for your betterment. Time just needs to catch up. If you're operating from a positive state of being, if you're doing all the good habits that we mentioned, trust that eventually your outer world is going to shape itself upon the model of your imagination and the things that you are doing within you that benefit you. That may come in many different forms, like I said. Sometimes things need to fall apart in order for better things to take its place. That isn't just a fancy term or some cliche sentence. That has meaning. And if you are doing things that benefit you and help you, you're going to be able to see that, and you're going to be able to resonate with that. If you take a look back for a second at past events that may seemingly did not go the way that you wanted them to go, I'm sure a very large percentage of them turned out way better than you could have imagined. You may be in shit, or you may have been in a bad or shit circumstance, and then a few years later or a few months later, you realize that learning whatever you had to learn within that period of time helped you get to where it is you are now, or excelled you in one area of life. Like you're not able to connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking back. That's a Steve Jobs quote. And it's so true. You don't know exactly how things are going to go. Like you don't know the meaning of certain things until you are able to look back at them and see how the dots connected. So you got to trust that the dots are going to connect in a way that brings you to where it is you want to be. You have to trust that. You have to trust that. And it all starts with developing a good inner world, an inner world that you're proud of, being your authentic self, showing up for yourself every single day, doing things that you know is going to benefit you, even though in the moment it may be uncomfortable. Because that's where growth happens. That's where you excel. That's where you really elevate your level of energy. So just to recap, start with you. If you're doing everything in your power to improve yourself and become more aware of the fact that you are good now, you are whole, full, and complete now. If you're doing things that help elevate your level of energy, you're going to be able to navigate every situation that appears externally better. 100%. And you have to appreciate that and know that it starts with you. And if you're like, Sam, I'm doing everything I can to improve myself, I have all these good habits in my life, then you got to trust, and you have to know that good is going to replace whatever seemingly unfavorable situation is going on around you. Like, you just have to have that mindset. It doesn't matter what's going on. I trust in my vision, and I trust in the higher plan, in the greater plan for my life. And I know, and it may be hard, and this is a lot easier said than done, but you have to trust that things are going to improve. It just has to improve. It will improve. And you have to trust that, and you have to have faith in that. And that takes time. This isn't something that just, you snap your fingers and you fix. But if you're already in a position where you feel like you're doing everything in your power to be the best version of yourself, and you're improving yourself, and you're taking care of your inner world, you're doing all these things, but still, you don't get the result that you want, you have to trust. Sometimes things need to go on so we can learn something, so we can become better, so good can then replace it. You just have to believe, and you have to trust. And like I said, that takes time. But please be patient with yourself. And have patience for your growth, because we're all, going through our own journeys and figuring everything out. And that's why I really do not like it when people are like, this is the best technique to do this, or this is the best technique you got to do this. It's just annoying. It bothers me because it doesn't seem genuine. It's not genuine. If you don't do this, then you're not going to get what you want. Who are these people to say these types of things? Everybody's journey is unique to them, and whatever resonates with you, that's what you should focus on. Screw the noise. It doesn't matter. If you have a certain method, or you have a certain practice that you do that you really vibe with, that you really resonate with, listen to that. Focus on that and double down on that. And screw the noise. That's the most important thing. Taking inventory within yourself, trusting yourself, knowing that you are good now and you're going to figure this out. That's it. That's how you transcend seemingly unwanted external conditions. You focus on your inner world, and you have to have trust. You have to have faith. Faith and belief are foundational. And it takes time. So please be patient with yourself. Shift your focus. Trust yourself. And I promise you that things are going to improve. If you're going through shit, or if you're going through an unfavorable circumstance, you just have to trust. You have to believe that there's some lesson within it. But yeah, I hope that this recording has provided some value, at least one little nugget of value. If you re-listen to this, I'm sure that maybe you'll be able to pick up on a few other things. But I promise you that if you just take inventory within yourself and you are selfish in the sense where you like sometimes, you say no to certain things so you can work on yourself, like it's going to help you in the long run. And sometimes that's important. Like being selfish, saying no, I need to work on myself, or I need to do this for me, like doing those types of things are going to help you in the long run. And again, it's all just like, you have to believe that everything is happening for you. And like I said, like everybody is just on their own journey, and help other people. You don't know what anybody else is going through. So be kind, be genuine. And yeah, I'm just trying to make these recordings as genuine and authentic as I can be from, my personal experience and my self-development journey and everything that I'm learning on my self-development journey. So if you want me to talk about anything specifically, you can always message me if you have comments or anything. Also, if you're interested in checking out the hats, you can click the link in my bio on TikTok. You can click the link in the description on YouTube. You can click the link in the description on Spotify or Apple. I have a bunch of free resources, also different guides and worksheets if you're interested in that, in my TikTok bio. All my links are there. The best place to reach out to me is definitely on Instagram if you want to join our community on there. At Presence of Being, I'm more than happy to have a conversation with you or chat to you about anything. Thank you very much for being a part of our community, and I will see you in the next recording.